two small bodies, I felt was just an extraordinary experience, accomplishment. The actors were just so superb, beautifully shot by Phil Parmet. When I came across the play, I could not stop thinking about that dynamic that was set up between the officer who comes to investigate the disappearance of these two small children and his adversary, which is the woman. The woman who is supposed to be housewife, mother, caring for the children. Instead, she's working as a cocktail hostess in a bar and having sex with different men.
Just charging that I was an unfit mother.
Were you?
Of course not.
And so that really sparked a passion to investigate this in a cinematic way, which was extremely challenging because two characters, basically one location. It was all in one house. We went outside once. And how to take that power dynamic and flip it on its head so that the audience, in a way, is not sure who is in control, who is the manipulator, who is, like, what direction are they going in? And to me, it so much reflects how relationships are sometimes. Not in the one I'm in right now, thank God, but it was also echoed relationships that I had been in, where in a way you're attracted to someone just because you want to conquer them. And I think that the detective comes in, he's already made his mind up about this woman.
I'm going to arrest you soon on suspicion of murder.
You have no case.
Don't I? Mrs. Maloney, I'm going to screw you to the wall.
Now, what's fascinating is it was based on a real case, the Alice Crimmins case from 1965, where this woman, Alice Crimmins, her two children, one night disappeared, and she was immediately accused because she was having illicit sex. She was in the middle of a divorce with her husband. She was working as a cocktail. So the play was based on that real scenario. But then Neal Bell, the playwright, just took it into different places.
Now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steal across the sky.
The actors, Fred Ward and Suzy Amis, really play that dance in such a powerful and, for the audience, I think, confusing way.
Yeah, destabilizing. You're
Absolutely.
continually, you
Yeah.
think you know what's going on, and then she turns the tables on him and on the audience,
Exactly.
and he tries to twist out of it and control her again and menace her sexually, but he's unable to. I mean, spoiler alert.
She's pretty.
Who?
Your wife.
How the fuck would you know?
There's one scene that starts the film, which is so beautiful. I wanted the camera throughout the film to be like a shark. Shark that is coming in for the kill. And we, in essence, the audience, are that shark. And we're watching. And the detective comes into this woman's house and really is attacking.
So you made a few phone calls. Anyone come over?
And the camera doesn't stop. The camera is always moving in that film. There are very few cuts.
Did you ask anyone to come over?
And it then follows from a table. It then follows him over to the window, and then he smokes a cigarette. And his actions, he's dominating her home the first time he arrives to investigate the disappearance of her two children. And she plays it very cool, very cool.
You unlock the door. push it open. The children are gone.
As the tables are shifting through the film, we come back to that exact camera movement. We actually shot them day to day, back to back. So all the lighting is the same, everything, but she then dominates the scene. And she then takes the cigarettes and the lighter from him, and then she lights that cigarette and goes over to the window and starts, in a way, interrogating him.
Does your wife have interests?
She's a housewife. She doesn't have time.
Is she happy?
They're provoking each other's frailties, vulnerabilities, assumptions.
You killed your children. Stop it. Stop it!
Outraged at her behavior. She needs to be a mother. She needs to be a wife. Otherwise, she is a slut, a whore.
And a murderess.
And a murderess, yes. And he represents everything she's rebelling against.
You ever want to make love to a Nazi?
Is that an offer?
Just doing my job.
So it was just like, for me, this film incorporated so many of the themes that I had been working on for years. And what was fascinating is when I finished the film, I edited it, all this, I showed it to my mother, to Ida, my beloved Ida. And, you know, I think she cried a couple times. I mean, it was really like, and she said, "This is so much about me. She is so much me."
You want something from me.
I want you to think I'm human. And I want you to leave me alone.
It was so much about that struggle of women to claim their lives, their bodies, their minds as their own.
Come inside with me.
No.
And take off some clothes. Nobody's stopping you.
No, thanks.
I said take off your clothes.
You're crazy.
I kind of feel like my films are a type of therapy. They have a catharsis, maybe not at that moment when I'm making them, but years later.
99 bottles of
Sometimes I
beer,
think they'd be better off
99
dead.
bottles of beer. Take one down, you pass it
Not dead
around.
exactly, just
90 bottles of beer,
gone like they are
90
now.
bottles of beer on the wall, 98 bottles of beer.
People have always crowded me. My children crowd me.
This film turned out really not to be about sex. But one of the things that I'm not sure we've explored deeply enough is that in so many of your films, when there is sex on screen, it's real sex, and and there's real desire and lust, and it's pretty uncensored. It doesn't look like staged for the camera, for want of a better description. You know, it doesn't look fake.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be animated by real passion. And, you know, very few directors are able to do that. I think. You know, 90% of movies where there's a sex scene, you just go, "Oh, really?"
Well, for me, it usually feels like the sex scenes in many movies are, I think, they don't serve the story. And for me, if there is going to be a sex scene, and I don't think there have been very many sex scenes in my films that actually
Even
result.
kissing.
Yeah, kissing, whatever it is. For me, what has to precede it are the emotional conflicts.
Why are you touching me?
Stop talking. The muscles in your neck are all knotted up.
You know, that feeling of wanting to dominate or wanting to be passive or being so confused of one's own motivations that in a way the audience, I hope that the scenes will light that under the audience, because as humans, we all go through that to a certain extent.
We're not equal! We're not the same. Remember that.
And so, with Two Small Bodies especially, there is an electricity that is going through these two characters throughout the film that is sometimes spoken about, not spoken about, and that's when, in a way, the end for me is so satisfying, when they're touching each other, but it's no longer about like conquer or sex. It's about honoring the other person's being. And the dance at the end is so poignant because it's deep. It's almost like these two people have been in a relationship for decades, and they've tested each other's vulnerabilities and fears and rage and courage, everything. Within that hour and a half of that film, they've kind of touched on all those emotions. So in the end, when they dance, to me, that is the sex scene in that film, because it's a pure acceptance of each other. The battle has come to one of acceptance and love.